morning to you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good stuff. Mikel, can I first of all start off with, obviously, David Luiz announced a few days ago that he's going to leave the club at the end of the season. Can you just talk about his decision and the influence that he has as a player for you at this club, and perhaps wider on football as well, because he's a very visible figure in the Premier League.
Yes, it is. It's a player that has won everything in football, and he has earned every right to do so because who he is as a player and as a person. I had the privilege to work with him for 18 months. I really enjoyed. I think we got on really good. I think we had some great moments together, and he's been really helpful. Someone that we really like and appreciate so much. So just say thank you to him and wish him the best of luck in his next chapter, because I'm sure, knowing David, that he would have many more to come as a player and in the future somehow related to the game.
Can I also ask you about Willain as well? Obviously, he was signed on a longer term deal. What, as far as you know at this moment in time, what is the situation with Willain? What are your hopes? I suppose probably the better question to ask you. What are your hopes for Willain in terms of his future at Arsenal?
Well, first of all, that we sign a player with an incredible talent, proven talent and performance level in this league, and this season has been difficult, and I take again full responsibility because I have to be the one getting the best out of him, and we had moments, but not to the level that he did before. And these are the assessment that we're going to do individually with the players, and as well obviously with Edu, the board and the ownership, to make the right decisions for the future.
Just a quick follow-up on that one. Do you think more likely than not that he'll remain at Arsenal, or can you not tell at this moment?
Well, every player that is under contract is very likely to be here with us next season.
Mikel, just moving on, just to following up on an earlier question, it was about sort of the run that you're on at the moment. That a strong finish, momentum, I think was a word that was used as well. Not so much where it can get you now, obviously, for European football, but how can a manager use that for pre-season, and obviously the hopes are for you now for next season, as you have a much more successful season than you've had this year. But can you tangibly explain to us what a strong finish to a season now could do for Arsenal?
Well, because winning creates a different environment around the place. It creates much more belief, and when you start to get in a run and you start to understand why this run is happening, it always helps to build for the future. A new season is a new season, and to get momentum one season to the other is not necessarily what is going to happen, but certainly it's really good to analyze performance and result-wise why those things happen, because it's really important for us to make the improvements that we need for the following season, and to know which keys we have to touch to make it work better.
Mikel, can I talk about a player that I'm pretty sure you've played against it, but clearly managed against as well. It won't have escaped your attention that Harry Kane is potentially looking for a move away for Tottenham at eye-watering figures. Just what kind of player is he? Probably with maybe both your hats on as a player and as a manager.
Well, I suffer him both ways, as a player and as a manager. I think English football should be so proud to have someone with his talent, with his quality, and as well with his consistency. I think what he's been able to do over the years in that position in this league, it's incredible, and the national team has someone that hanging into him. It gives you just the opportunity to compete against any team, because you know that he can win you the game any moment, and that's big words in football.
Mikel, just finally from me, and I apologise slightly in advance because I know you've answered lots of questions about this, but it's really from a slightly different perspective in terms of whatever takeover, whatever there is, however which ways it goes. But just as a manager, clarity that you know what you're dealing with in any essence of being a football club manager. How much does clarity help you, that you know exactly what's going on, whether it be, for example, with a board, with a takeover, with the players, the recruitment you want to do? How much does clarity help you, especially with the job that you want to do at this club?
Well, I think if I've been something, it's honest. And probably once I was too honest. And so when I could not see it or I had doubts, I say it. Now I have no doubts. It's so clear. It's a very clear statement from the ownership, very clear direction from the ownership, very clear direction with what we want to do. It's zero question marks there.
Would that represent a successful season if you did still manage to get European qualification, be it for the Europa League or the Europa Conference League?
I think to have a successful season in this club, you have to be having trophies in your hands.
Looking at the game itself, Palace will have fans back in at Selhurst Park. Can you feed off that, even though they're all going to be home fans cheering on Palace?
It doesn't matter. It's so great to have fans. We're going to be lucky enough to have our fans back in the last game, which we cannot wait for. And to have fans there as well is going to make the atmosphere much better and back to how this game has to be played.
Looking at Palace as well, we don't know yet if Roy Hodgson's going to carry on beyond the end of this season. Just a word about the job he's done. 4 seasons in charge, and he's kept them up comfortably.
He's an absolute legend. What he's done in football, for English football, I think what he transmits as a manager, as a person, the work he's done at different clubs, I think it's remarkable. And to keep doing it for so long with the way he's always conducted himself, I think it's a great example. For me as a young coach, it's someone that I admire.
Thanks, Mikel.
Thank you.
You're smiling when you're talking about David Luiz. I think a lot of people like him. Just tell us what's he like as a character, because he's supposed to be a great character, isn't he? How hard's it been for you to let him go?
Well, because when you get to know the person, his background, where he was raised in Brazil, what he's done to get to this point, it's remarkable. And then you understand a lot of things that happen for a reason, and sometimes it's not just an ability, a quality, or a determination. It's many other factors. I really enjoyed. I learned from him. He's been very helpful every time with the team, and I feel sadness as well, because you get attached to the players emotionally, and one is the player that we have to get the maximum out of him, and then is the person. And when it gets to these stages, it's tough. And it hurts, because that relationship now is going to be going away, at least in a space, or not see him every day. And again, I have to say thank you to him.
Was it your decision? Was it a joint decision?
We had a very clear talks in the last few months. We already had a big decision to make last year when we had to extend his contract, and in a very difficult moment during the COVID world and with the pay cuts and everything, and we managed to extend that for 1 more season. He's giving his best, and I tried to help him as much as I possibly could, the club as well, and after some conversations, we decided that is the best way to do it now.
And will Saliba be his replacement next season, do you think, or are you going to look?
You will see in the summer the possible replacement. Willain is our player, for sure, and that's the decision that we're going to be taking soon.
Okay, if I just ask you one about the season, I mean, when you took over Arsenal, had this problem of winning away at big sides and their record against the top 6. You've been eroding that, and you've been picking up these wins as you've gone. What's really cost you this season was that run in November, wasn't it? And that's really what damaged you when you lost them too many matches in a row.
That run in November was obviously crucial and determined, even with how consistent we've been after Christmas, not enough to reach the objectives that we wanted. I don't just put that down to that, George. It's so much happened at the club, and I believe in other factors as well sometimes to happen, why the ball is going in or not in, or a decision. It's very small margins. With everything has happened, if you analyze where we are and where we could be, it's not that far, but certainly it's not enough.
Thank you. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Harry Kane is leaving Spurs. Are Arsenal going to buy
it? I don't know if Harry Kane is leaving Spurs. You're saying that, Ian. I don't know. I think he's still there.
If he is leaving Spurs, it's been reported that only really 3 clubs in this country, the 2 Manchester clubs and Chelsea, probably could afford to buy him. So does that sadden you a bit that Arsenal haven't got that financial power right now, if someone like Harry Kane was available today?
I don't know. It's too many ifs. If he wants to leave, he will try to make the best decision for himself, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's unusual for a Spurs player to join Arsenal. I'm granted on that one. You've spoken about David Luiz. You've also been linked this week with Ryan Bertrand. You're going to be linked with quite a few players. Is this going to be a busy summer for you, do you think?
Well, if I have to answer to every question about every possible transfer or players might be leaving, then we'll be sitting here for hours. What I can say, Ian, is that we know what we want to do. It's a clear plan to put that together. It's true that there are a lot of decisions to make because as well we have a lot of players on loan, some of them that have to come back, and we will see step by step, focus on the priorities that we have, and let's see how much we can do.
You said earlier that even getting European football wouldn't make it a successful season. It's all about lifting trophies above your head, which is a really commendable thing to say. But, in terms of that, what do you have to work on for next season to make it successful? Have there been things that you've done wrong this year, things that players done wrong, or has it just been a difficult season in the whole?
I want to reflect now the next week or so when we finish, but I'm sure that I've done a lot of things wrong. 100% I can tell you now before going through it. So how am I going to make much better decisions, get the best out of this player, get the best out of the football club and all the resources that we have. I have spent a lot of time and effort identifying critical points to change, then how those changes are going to be made, in which time frame we could do them. I want to spend time building, creating, and with all the foundation that we have in place now, evolve the team, the club, everything the way we want to do. I want a pre-season, we can work with the players and create. I'm a really creative person, I think. I want to create, evolve, and a lot of time since I've been coming here, is to determine and make some very, very difficult decisions that have to undo. But I want to start doing more and more because the capacity that we have to do it's incredible. I'm so excited about that, and I see that moment of a lot of change as a big opportunity for our future.
You're like a Picasso of football. You like to create things.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I love to create. There's a lot of good things that we've done since we changed many things. There is still a lot to do, a lot to catch up, but our potential is incredible because I can see the ambition from the club first, and when we have that type of ambition, we have an incredible margin to achieve what we want.
One last thing, you really kind words about Roy Hodgson earlier, describing him as a legend. Do you think we're going to see managers like that in the future that have been managing for 30, 40 years? I mean, you're in the job and you haven't got grey hair on your head despite the fact you
I do have. Well, I think we can count them with this hand because what he's done, and in this league in particular, it's honestly incredible.
Brilliant. Good luck tomorrow night.
Just on David, if I may, was that an agreement made by the club, or was it a conscious thing made by both parties that he would leave?
It's after a few conversations that we had, David and I. We discussed this situation in different occasions, and the other day we made the final decision on that.
George asked you earlier about William Saliba, and with obviously you've not got an endless pot of money this summer, so does it make sense to give him a chance to show what he can do when he comes back from his loan move?
Again, when we finish the season, we will sit down, he's still competing, sit down, discuss the roles of every member of that squad and how they can fulfill that role. And he's our player, so he will be back here for sure. And after that, we'll make the decision based on the agreement of the role that each player is going to have in the squad.
I know you've said many times that you've got plenty of players out on loan at the moment, but with William going in January, did he need that more than most, given that he needed to get out and play football with his age and his development and things like that?
Yes, I wouldn't like this happening at the start of the season when we make a certain decision, and because we had 8 central defenders, which is unheard of. But we didn't find the right moment, the right club, the right agreement to do that, and in my opinion, we could have used those 4 or 5 months in a better way. We tried to maximize them when we decided to keep him here till December, and now he's had a run of game that he needed after the difficult year that he had the previous season.
In the normal non-COVID world, you'd have been able to just jump on the Eurostar, obviously, and go and watch him on occasion. Have you still been able to monitor his development and speak to him and things like that?
Absolutely, but we still have great people doing that. Ben Napper is always in contact with him. He's the one creating every assessment. We are, as a coaching staff, obviously following his progression, watching his games, and in contact with him. So it's not an ideal world to feel that it still belongs here and you can have a face-to-face relationship, but we try to do the best possible way.
And just finally, Mikel, there was some speculation last week about the future of Bernd Leno. I think yesterday he said he wants to stay. In your eyes, will Bernd be your number one at the start of next season?
It's another one with a contract here that because of the length of his contract, a lot of things, it will be speculated.
But he's not going anywhere.
He has 2 years here and he belongs here.
Thank you, Mikel.